Let's see now. I think we're live. I don't have any real way to be sure of that. Hold on a second. Let's take a look and see if there's a picture and there's levels. But I got to go way back here to see. And what do I think? I think we're live. But we're not live in the same way as usual because the band isn't here tonight. So scheduled tonight, we had Scott Foster was going to bring in a quartet. And I'm trying to remember who might have been on bass. I know that Russ Gold was going to play drums, and Larry De La Cruz was going to play saxophone, and Scott was going to play guitar, as he always does. Scott has been part of the Beckett thing since when? Let's see now. Somebody's beeping me. Maybe this is, we'll find out whether this is working. Let's see. Angie says, I need a sound guy. Why? Isn't there enough sound? Beep me, Angie, and tell me. So that's true. We really need a sound guy because I'm doing the best I can, but Angie's out. She's taken over the board the past couple months, about, 6 weeks. I mean, not very long. She says the volume is low, I think, but let me see about that. Let's see. Or I need to turn up the volume. Well, yeah, it could be your device, you know. Sometimes it's a matter of your device out there, because I think I was seeing a sufficient level. But I'll hold this mic up close to my face. Let's see what she says here. Oh, it's fine, she says. Yeah, sometimes at home you have to turn up your stereo. I really recommend that you try to get some old-fashioned person, i.e. older person, who grew up on a hi-fi system or something of that ilk. They were solid state by the time I came along, and that was just fine. Tube amps are nice, but then you get it hooked into your speaker system, which you have a speaker system in your house, right? They shouldn't be little tiny things, although they sound magnificent, but real speakers. And this at Bird and Beckett will always sound pretty glorious, especially since Angie took over the board. So Nico Mesa took on that task for us several months back. We'd been streaming from a little iPhone that Jenna, you all know Jenna, I hope. If you come the right time of day or on the weekend, you know Jenna. She's been a centerpiece of the bookstore for quite a few years now, since she sent an email over as a student at State and wanted an internship. So I didn't pay her anything for the first couple months and then hired her on. And that was a fine thing to do. Same hiring on Loretta, who went away to Portland about a year ago to sort of shepherd a house into being up there. So she left, but she's back for the holidays, and she worked in here a couple days ago. But this is a bookstore. Many of you only know it as a jazz venue, but it really is a bookstore, as you can see. This vantage point you have right now is the vantage point that Scott Foster would typically have when he's playing a show for you. He sits right where the camera is sitting now. And when there's audiences, these things are out of the way, and there's about 30 chairs or 25 chairs. And I don't know if you can hear the background, but this is the recording that Scott did with the trio many years ago here. And it's quite gorgeous, and you can hear the audience settling into the chairs for the show, full of anticipation. And anyway, so we've been doing it for a long time, and Scott was on it right at the beginning. When Chuck Peterson got it started, he brought in Scott, Don Prell on bass, and Scott was somebody who often played with Don down at the boat club down by the ballpark, essentially. So Scott came on the gig, and Jimmy Ryan quickly became a steady part of on drums of that, but there was a rotating cast of musicians, and Chuck Peterson did that for years and years and years, every Friday evening at 5:30. So we've always had jazz in the bookstore every Friday evening since October of 2002. We often crow about that. And so that's 18 years of consecutive Fridays. And this is the first Friday in all that time that there's no jazz, live jazz in the bookshop. Instead, you get me explaining that's why you're not seeing any music tonight. But Scott will be back on the 15th of January. He's always here on the third January, the third Friday of the month. So that's his date. Maybe he'll assemble this same quartet and try to put together the glory that would have been tonight. But frankly, we decided to cave into COVIDian realities and go ahead and take this Friday off, and next Friday is Christmas Day, and we were going to try to get something going, maybe an hour. Thought we might get Eric Schifrin to play a little piano, keep the streak going. There was one Friday many years ago, it fell on a Christmas Day, and Don Prell bravely took his bass and set up on the sidewalk in front of the shop and played solo bass out there. My wife and my kids and I came down, and we found him on the sidewalk playing jazz. You know, he used to go anywhere with his bass in order to get an audience to play music like he does. And so he set up out there, and we came up. He was playing classical music, and we said, Don, you got to play some jazz. It's jazz at the bookshop. So he played a little piece for us. I forget what, one of his favorite tunes. And then we drove on and had our Christmas day. So we were going to do a little jazz in the bookshop this coming Friday, but I think we'll go ahead and skip that. And we'll probably skip New Year's Eve too. We've often done a New Year's Eve show. So that'll be, in 18 years, we'll skip 3 consecutive Fridays perhaps. Might happen, might not happen. You'll find out next Friday when you try to tune in. We'll try to put up some notice so you'll know whether there's music or not. So sign up for our email to get notifications. Not that I notified anybody that there was cancellation tonight. And look at our website. Some of you don't even know that we have a website, but that's Marlise Hanselman put that together, and Jackson Cole Whittington souped it up, and Mary Shapanik in the neighborhood fixed it up a little lately to make it functional for certain things we need. And that website, we're pretty proud of it. It's got a lot on there. It's mostly about the music, hardly ever about the books. This is probably the most books you ever see on a Friday at Bird and Beckett, because usually the lights are down and everybody's focused on the stage, but now you're getting the book vantage point. So I think that's all I need to tell you. Scott's somebody we're extraordinarily fond of. He's always been really my favorite guitar player. There's no question. Wonderful human being, but also just an amazing guitar player. And he shocked me one time when he gave me a CD that was not in the typical bebop and post-bop mode that Chuck and Don and Jimmy favored. It was kind of some very arranged and almost I don't know. It was something my ears weren't quite ready for. And I said, "Well, thanks, Scott. I hardly knew what to say or what to do with that." But at some point, I suddenly played it and listened to it and realized, "Oh my God, this guy is amazingly talented in ways I hadn't imagined." And that's come out more and more through the years as he's felt more relaxed about showing the scope of his talents here at Bird and Beckett, and as we've given him free rein to do that. So Scott's basically in retirement up in Santa Rosa, and Don's doing his thing down at the boathouse, the boat club, the Bayview Boat Club. And Jimmy's passed on. We miss Jimmy. Dorothy Lefkowitz brought Jimmy in the first time. Dorothy was a wonderful singer. She's back in New Jersey now near her family. And her partner in music was a guy, Henry Irvin, amazing guitar player. Had a very unique way about him, and he was an arranger and a writer, and quite an amazing guy. And his buddy Bishop Norman Williams, their buddy Bishop used to come in a lot with them. And through the years, we've had a lot of people across the stage, and that'll continue. But right now, there'll be no live jazz in the bookshop tonight. So have fun at home, have a glass of wine, whatever you want to do, and put on a jazz record if you got one. All right? Okay, thanks for coming out. I'm going to turn off the live stream if I can make my way back there. And you can go look at our website or our Facebook page or our YouTube channel, and you can actually watch any number of shows. You can find Scott's shows with Larry De La Cruz on them. You can find one or two with Russ Gold on them. So I'm going to turn this down a little bit. Nah, I'll leave it up. But I'll say goodnight. Thanks for coming out. You can always tip the band on your way out. You'll find a way. Thanks for being here. Bye-bye. All right, as Chuck Lemire would say, that'll get it. So that was Dan Siemens on bass and Corey Wright on clarinet and Scott Foster on guitar. Well, I was going to show you the record jacket, and then I'm going to say goodnight and send you home. Don't forget to tip the band. But yeah, that was a night at Bird and Beckett some years ago, and there will be many more. But here's the. Let me see if I can. I'll leave the mic behind. Here comes the record jacket. Okay, good night. It's been fun. Whoops. Gotta go turn off the machine now. See you next week. Well, or soon. Keep coming around. Oh, we sell books, you know. You can come anytime to buy books. Noon to 6, Tuesday to Sunday for the time being. Closed on Mondays. And yeah, lots of books here. Okay, thanks. Good night.